Hi everybody, this is Kefren, your favorite French Canadian. Today I'm going to show you how to boost your FPS in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. We're going to start by optimizing Windows, and after that we will go inside of the game. So now the best setting for Windows for gaming. So first of all, we're going to search for game mode in the search bar. Make sure that game mode is activated for the past year. It's pretty good. You're getting a decent performance, and you're going to make sure that all your resources are focused on the game that you're playing. For the Xbox game bar, I still recommend to deactivate this one, causing stuttering, crashing in some games. So I'm not a huge fan of the Xbox game bar. And for the capture, make sure that the background recording is at off, and also the recorded audio is at off. Another thing that I recommend, it's the hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. Make sure that you're searching for graphics setting. You will need an NVIDIA card, 1000 series or more recent. It will really help with bottlenecks. So if you have a 1050, 1050 Ti, 1060, even the 2060, you can expect a nice 2 to 5% boost. And also you can expect less stuttering when you're using that. So I really recommend to use that. Another thing that is really important, it's your driver. Make sure that you have the latest driver from AMD, NVIDIA, even Intel if you have an iGPU on your processor. So for an example here with AMD, you just click check for update and it's gonna show you if you have the latest one. You can do the same thing with NVIDIA. Another thing that I can recommend with the NVIDIA and AMD, they have an image scaling for the past a couple of months. From AMD, it's called Super Resolution, and for NVIDIA, it's NIS. I have dedicated video who's gonna show you how to use that and how to configure it. But to explain you quickly what it's about, so you need to enable this. So for example, I'm playing in 2K because my monitor is in 2K. I'm going inside of my game. I lower the resolution at 1080p, and the software will scale it back at 2K. And with this process, I can save 15-20% in my FPS. Also, you can do it if you have a 4K monitor and you want to do 1080p or 2K. You can expect a nice boost. The image quality will not be the same if you compare with native, but in some game it's working very well, and it's very tough to see the difference. So I recommend to use it if you're struggling with your FPS. So if you have an NVIDIA card, just go on your NVIDIA setting, go to control panel, open it, go to manage 3D setting, and just use pretty much the setting that I'm currently using. Honestly, they're pretty much default. So the first one that you need to change is your low latency mode. If you have this technology, make sure that it's at on. The other one is if you want to lock your FPS, for an example, you have a 170 Hz monitor and you want to stay in your G-Sync range, you just put your FPS here at something like 167, something like that. You want to be under 170 Hz to always stay in your G-Sync range. So if you want to do that, it will do that for all your game. It's a global setting over there. So I'm gonna unlock it, and this is pretty much it. If you have access to the change ECC state, I recommend to uncheck it. This will slow your VRAM, so you don't want to use that. For change resolution, make sure that you're playing native. So if you have a 2K monitor, go with 2K. If you have a 1080p monitor, go with 1080p. And super important, look at your refresh rate. A lot of people are missing this step. They buy a new screen and by default it's at 60. So use the maximum refresh rate that is available on your monitor. The last parameter will be your G-Sync. So I recommend, if you want to use G-Sync, I recommend to, first of all, you need to enable it, and I recommend to use the enable for window and full screen. So if you're playing a game like in borderless mode, it will be applied. Also, you can select just one display screen depending on whatever. If your second screen is not compatible with G-Sync, you will just push it to one monitor. Me, I'm not using it. I have a 4090 for my GPU, so I just want to unlock my FPS. So in majority of the game, I'm getting 250 FPS, and my monitor refresh rate is at 170 Hz. So I just want to lower my input lag, so that's why I just unlock everything, but it really depends on your situation. So this is pretty much it for NVIDIA. Another thing that I recommend, it's your energy profile. So write energy in your search bar, go to power option. Make sure that you're running something like balance or high performance. On a desktop computer, it should not be an issue, but if you're playing on a laptop, really make sure that you're using that or a special profile for performance from your brand like Asus, Dell, or whatever. The thing is, sometimes when you plug your PC in the wall, unplug, using it with the battery, sometimes it stay at power saver and you don't want to use that when you're playing a game. So super important to be plugged in and also to use a proper performance profile. Another thing that I can recommend, it's the Intelligent Standby List Cleaner. This is a software made by the guy from DDU. It's pretty amazing, honestly. It will help if you don't have a lot of RAM in your PC. So if you have 4 gig of RAM, 8 gig, 12 gig, after that, you should be fine. Windows is doing the job properly. So it will free memory and it's gonna make sure that it optimizes your standby list. So what I recommend normally, it's look at your total memory. Here in my case, it's 32. Just divide it by 2. So for me, it's 16. Just press start and it will run automatically. And you just lower the software like that and you're gonna make sure it's optimized. So it's a really good software and also it helps a little bit with stuttering. So I really recommend to use that. One last thing is I have dedicated video on my channel about overclocking CPU, overclocking GPU, depending on your brand and stuff. And it's pretty good because there are basic overclocking guide. I don't touch voltage, so it's pretty safe. You can expect sometimes 2%, 10% boost in your FPS depending on your thermal, depending on your component. But it's something that you need to look at too if you want to optimize your PC for the best performance. So now let's go inside of the game. So first of all, the resolution, make sure that you're playing native. In my case, I have a 2K monitor, so I just go with 2K. If you have a full HD monitor, just go with full HD. For window mode, I really recommend to use full screen. Don't use the other mode. You're gonna have some random stuttering, random lag, so not a huge fan of it. For view distance, my recommendation is medium. Low is very near in front of you when you're playing in the game. Medium is a good compromise, and after that, at high and epic, you will lose a lot of FPS. It's 4% for each bracket, so that's why my recommendation for this is medium. For shadow quality, this one is probably the parameter that will provide you the most of your FPS. If I compare epic to low, you can expect 16% boost in your FPS. And it really depends, do you like shadow in a game or not? Me, I'm not necessarily a fan of shadow, so that's why I'm putting this one at low. If you like to have like decent shadow, just go with medium. It's not that bad. It's like 3% difference, but after that, at high and epic, you will see a huge decrease in your FPS, so I'm not recommending to go higher than medium. For anti-aliasing, it's using TAA in the game. You have a couple of preset. I recommend to go with low because the anti-aliasing is very blurry in this game. So with low, first of all, you will gain 8% boost in your FPS, and also it will be a lot better for your visibility. For texture quality, right now, they have like some random bug, but I think it's fixed. I didn't see it on my hand, but I see a lot of people complaining about it. So I really recommend to install something like MSI Afterburner and look at your amount of VRAM that you have, because you don't have any slider that will tell you how much VRAM the game will take. But for me, honestly, if you have like 8 gig and more of VRAM, you can definitely play at epic. 6 gig go with high, 4 gig at medium, and less than 4 gig at low. But again, just look at your VRAM indicator on MSI Afterburner if you want to know how many VRAM the game is currently taking. For visual effect, I recommend to go with medium. I saw 1% difference between low and medium. After that, you can expect a big decrease in your FPS if you're going at high or epic. It's 3% for each bracket. So my recommendation is go with medium. Post-processing, I recommend to go with low. First of all, better visibility, and also you will gain a nice 5% boost in your FPS. So that's why I go with low. For foliage detail, this one is a bit weird. Not a huge difference between low and medium. First of all, it's like 1%, but even medium with high, I saw like 1, sometimes 2% difference. So that's why you can definitely run foliage at high if you have a decent amount of FPS. For sure, if you're struggling with your 60, don't go at high with your foliage. Start with medium and look at your FPS. But this one, you can go a little bit higher with it. Field of view, I recommend to start by default. If you go wider or wide Fs, you will lose FPS. So really important to know that. So it's a question again of preference. And if you need FPS, go with narrower or narrower. Those one will provide you more FPS. I don't use VSync. I want less input lag possible. But again, you can use technology like FreeSync and G-Sync if you have it available. If you don't have that, just activate your VSync and you will not have any problem with tearing. For ray tracing, I'm not using it. Again, if you want to tank your FPS like crazy, definitely activate it. But this one will take a lot of your resources. I'm not a huge fan of the gain of ray tracing for the visual effect, honestly. Except maybe if you're running like a very good computer, like a 4090 with 7800 3D Ryzen processor. But I definitely just remove this feature. For the FSR2, it's kind of sad that you don't have DLSS right now in the game. Not a huge fan of FSR2, honestly. If you're really struggling with your FPS, go with quality or test balance. But you see that when a lot of stuff is moving, the game looks a little bit blurry. And it's not a huge boost also in your FPS. It's like 8%. So again, question of preference. If you're struggling with your FPS, go with balance and quality and do some testing. After that, you have all those effects. I'm not using any effect in this game. Again, for visibility, motion blur is pretty trash in this game. So motion blur at off, film grain at off, chromatic aberration at off. I removed the camera shake and the ambient camera sway. And you will see that your visibility will be a lot better with it. After that, you can go to extra. Another thing that I just deactivate is the usage sharing. I don't want to send data to EA. It doesn't cause any issue, but you know, just in case. And also I don't want to send my data to EA, so that's why I just deactivate it. So this is pretty much it, guys, for my Star Wars Jedi Survivor guide. If you have any question, just comment in the YouTube section. Post me your rig, CPU, GPU, and RAM. I will try to help you the best that I can. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Peace.